And a very good afternoon, goeiemiddag, Molweni. You still tune in to Sakisi's We're Building the Nation, Podinasi. Yes, indeed, it is a Thursday. It is the 11th of July, and it's gone exactly 22-2, which brings us into our last interview for today. So this Mandela Day, the University of the Western Cape is teaming up with Bush Radio for an incredible cause, and they are inviting you to turn your 67 minutes into 67 Rand to support UWC's growth and the communities it serves. And all proceeds will go towards the Legacy Fund with an ambitious goal of raising 1 billion Rand over the next 3 years. And one of the Professor Tyrone Pretorius' remarkable legacies as rector of is the infrastructure development that has positioned UWC as an anchor institution and catalyst for social change. And this partnership with Bush Radio highlights UWC's dedication to foster hope and also building a justifiable and dynamic society. So currently joining us on the line is the Rector and Vice Chancellor of the University of the Western Cape, Professor Tyrone Pretorius. So good afternoon, Professor. How are you today?
Good afternoon. I'm fine, thank you. Just thinking about and concerned about the storms that has disproportionately impacted the most disadvantaged in Cape Town and surrounds. But thank you for having me on your show.
And thank you very much for availing yourself, Professor. And yes, it is very sad what is currently occurring. So firstly, why is Mandela Day such a significant event for the University of the Western Cape?
Firstly, let me say that the university as an institution has long been associated with the democratic project in South Africa. We've had deep ties to the anti-apartheid movement, and our then rector and Vice Chancellor in 1994 became the first Director General in Nelson Mandela's Government of National Unity. In that new Government of National Unity, Mandela robbed us of many of our professors, our senior staff, who became ministers in the first democratic government. But Mandela Day aligns for us very perfectly with our mission to provide quality education to all South Africans, especially those from a disadvantaged background.
And Professor,
to us, Mandela Day means many things to many people, but for us as an educational institution, it's a day that celebrates the transformative power of education that Mandela so passionately believed in.
Professor, then it is important for me to ask, based on what you just stated now, like what are the university's primary goals for Mandela Day this year specifically?
So let me just correct what you said about our goal. We've established a legacy fund that we are trying to grow over the next what would that be? By 2060, we want to raise around 1 billion Rand, which will go towards infrastructure projects for the benefit of students, the benefit of teaching and learning, and the benefit of our community. So on Mandela Day, we encourage and invite our students, our staff, our alumni, Cape Townians in general, the business sector and donors to transform their 67 minutes of service that we've grown so accustomed to in our country, that we turn that 67 minutes of service into a donation of 67 Rand or more if you are in a position to contribute to our UWC Legacy Fund. And we're very excited that we are partnering with Bush Radio in this on Mandela Day, because Bush Radio is historically very intrinsically tied to UWC. While there are various explanations for how Bush Radio got its name, on its website it proudly states that the name is linked to this radio station's links with UWC in the past and also currently.
Definitely, we do have a very close relationship with UWC. So, Professor, you touched on the legacy fund that you've mentioned. You want to raise at least 1 billion rand. So, based on that, what steps should people that are currently tuned in now follow if they want to support the UWC Legacy Fund on Mandela Day? How do they go about?
So, if you're interested in supporting the UWC Legacy Fund on Mandela Day, and I urge you to, this interview is unfortunately not long enough to give you all of the reasons why you should. But if you're interested in supporting the Legacy Fund, you can easily make a donation through our website. I'll say out call out the website. It's www.uwc.ac.za. You can go to our Legacy Fund page where you will find all the details on how to contribute. You can choose to donate any amount, whether it's 67 or 67 million. It's your choice if you are able.
So
your support will help us continue our mission of providing quality education and driving social change. We're also inviting people on Mandela Day to visit our campus and be part of the live radio experience on that day on campus.
And you've mentioned the best way to get in touch would be to go via the website, which is www.uwc.ac.za.
Yes.
And Professor, as you've mentioned that we will be partnering with UWC, or Bush Radio will be partnering with UWC. So what impact do you hope through this partnership it will create?
I think for us, first of all, I believe in these difficult and trying times that we should be turning towards each other rather than turning away from each other. And therefore, our partnership, whether it's with Bush Radio, whether it's with communities, are very important to us. And I think on that day, we'd really like to create a hype, a vibe around our educational mission and our vision of expanding our infrastructure. And we think that Bush Radio will enable us to create a vibrant hype on campus on that day.
Professor, and just before I let you go, as some people would see Mandela Day as a sense where you can basically, or a day where you do good just for that one day. So people like to know, especially when money is involved, like where is my money going to, how is it going to be utilized and so forth. So what are some of the specific projects or areas that the UWC Legacy Fund will support through the Mandela Day initiative?
I'd like to respond to that by firstly saying that, we are a leading research-led institution. But many people seem to forget that we are also a historically disadvantaged institution and that we are financially challenged. We try to provide quality education despite that. We further believe in anchoring ourselves in our communities. And let me give you some of the examples of how we've done that, which will paint a picture of what we are trying to do with our legacy fund and our infrastructure projects. First of all, a few years ago, we opened our Faculty of Community and Health Sciences in the Bellville CBD. That is called anchoring yourself in place. We aim to serve the local community by providing health services in the Bellville CBD. But more than that, we hope to contribute by placing this building in the center of Bellville. We hope to contribute as part of the community to the revitalizing of the Bellville inner CBD. We've also on the Voortrekker Road in Bellville, bordering Parow, we've established a university innovation hub where we partner with business and industry in developing virtual and augmented virtual reality apps. In that innovation hub, we also have a small business clinic that will work with entrepreneurs and micro enterprises pro bono. It's a community service that we will be providing. We've taken our Center for Humanities Research, which is a national center of excellence for the arts and the humanities. We've taken it and we've placed it in Greatmore Street in Woodstock. Woodstock, as you know, is where a lot of artists and studios are, and we thought that our Center for Humanities Research should be placed in the middle of that thriving artistic hub. So those are some of the examples of how we try to anchor ourselves in place through our infrastructure development. And we're hoping that that by 2060, which is our target date, that we aim to be a catalyst for prosperity in Cape Town through infrastructure development, but also to drive social change in some key areas.
Thank you very much, Professor, for taking the time to speak to us today. Any last words or additional words you would like to leave us with in closing?
Just to mention, I forgot to say that Mandela as a person is important to all South Africans, but even more so for UWC. So on Mandela Day, we're not only celebrating Mandela as a statesman, as a father of the nation. UWC is celebrating him as an alumnus, as UWC was the first university to bestow an honorary doctorate on Nelson Mandela soon after his release from prison. I'd like to say thank you for having me on your show, and thank you for partnering with us on Mandela Day. I look forward to seeing you on campus.
Definitely. Thank you very much, Professor Tyrone Pretorius, for taking the time to speak to us today and also celebrating Mandela Day with Push Radio, as well as in partnership with UWC. And your participation in this initiative has not only honored the legacy of the Nelson Mandela, but also made a tangible difference in communities. And that is exactly what we want to achieve on the 18th of July. So again, thank you very much, Professor, for taking the time to speak to us today. Have a marvelous day further. Bye.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
And you still tune into Sakisi's We're Building the Nation, Bodinasi. And yes, that was Professor Tyrone Pretorius speaking to us a little bit more about what will take place on the 18th of July, which is known as Madiba Day. So your participation in this initiative, again, has not only honored the legacy of the Nelson Mandela, but also made a tangible difference in various communities. So let's carry forward the spirit of service and continue to work together to create a safer world. Until next time, so stay inspired and keep making a positive impact, and you can basically do that by joining in on the 18th of July. And yeah, as the professor basically stated, they want to raise for 67 minutes. They want to raise 67 rand, or that basically allocates 1 billion rand by 2060. That is what they want to achieve. So everyone is invited to participate in this initiative. So that concludes today's edition of Sakisi's We're Building the Nation Podinasi. So next up, East Afrikaans News at 2 with Mitchum George. Followed by that, we do have Back Chat with Renato. And then at 4, we have Everyday People with Larato. So